With so much focus on Justin Fields in that Bears-Dolphins game from Saturday, less attention paid to the guy that the Dolphins are trying to get the most out of in year two. Tua Tagovailoa, 5th overall pick. 6-3 as a starter, got benched a couple of times because he admitted several months ago he didn't know the offense as well as he should. No excuses this year, especially with a preseason to get ready for the regular season. 8 for 11, 99 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick on Saturday at Soldier Field. He said after the game, I did all right. There are a lot of things we need to clean up. Chris, you took a look at the film. Do you agree with his assessment?
I do. He did better than all right, and at least in my opinion. Yeah, there's some things cleaned up. He got fooled on coverage once where he had to hold the ball and throw it away. Had the one interception. But all in all, hey, the look test and some of the plays and throws he made against the number one defense to start the game, the Bears had starters out there for the most part. There was some positive things. I think the one thing about Tua that we can both agree on or say, or no matter what, is the guy knows how to play quarterback. He's a natural at the position. I mean, this was a beautiful play. 3rd and 4, hanging in the pocket, makes a really nice touch throw down the middle to Gesicki versus man-to-man coverage. That was great. You see a little quick slant here, right? He can get the ball out of his hand quickly. He's a great mover in the pocket. We know what kind of athlete he is that way. He is very accurate to go along with that, Mike. I mean, you could see there. I mean, there's a lot of things to like. There's no doubt about that with Tua. I do think it was a good start. Pinpoint accuracy on this throw here into a tight window on 3rd and 6. So I loved all that. There's no doubt. There's some positive things there. And this Dolphins team, they're not even healthy at receiver yet in those type of things. Look at that, under pressure. Great throw once again. So I think it was a positive start for Tua because this is what we need to see, Mike, right? We need to see, when people are open downfield and things are there to be had, you have to take advantage of it. You can't be checked down Charlie or I'm not going to throw this ball or do something like that. And that's why we saw Fitzpatrick come in relief for him so many times last year.
You are a left-handed quarterback. I'm left-handed, but not a quarterback. Tua, one of the few lefties right now. Just in watching him play, it looks so unusual. I know it's different for the receivers. It spins the other way. Does it make it harder for a defense with the whole, you get used to seeing a certain body position, a certain movement. Is it just different? Is it a new element when you're dealing with defending a left-handed quarterback? And is that an advantage for the quarterback?
It is. It could be, especially early on in the year. But yeah, no, I had always had players, occasionally come up to me, and like, oh man, you were in the pocket that one time and I couldn't see you. And man, I would have intercepted it, except I was expecting the ball to come out of the other hand and things like that. To where in the quick game and the slants, things like that, yeah, they're not used to seeing it. It can buy you maybe a split second here and there where a defender could be like, wait, where is it? Where's the ball? It's not it's not coming out the exact spot. But not enough of a game changer or an advantage to where I think it'll, change life or do anything like that. He's got a sweet stroke. He really does. And you could see just from that little clip we showed there, he can throw the ball from a lot of different angles. I don't ever doubt his ability to play the game, manage an offense, charisma, be good under the big lights. To me, the big question about Tua and how successful he's going to be is like a little bit of like what we saw with the interception, right, down the middle of the field. To know, man, this is not you. You're not a flamethrower. You're not Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre that's going to split the coverage and throw a rifle down the middle. He's got to understand who he is, what he is, and to know that he's got a really good team and doesn't need to take necessarily those chances. And that was an impressive tackle for a football player, no doubt about it. But that's, to me, the big thing with Tua. He's not going to make a ton of plays with his arm that's going to change field position or you're going to go wow or do something like that. But as long as he understands that and plays kind of the way he did the other day, they can win football games. There's no doubt about that in Miami.
When you look at the end zone version of that throw, the TV copy, it looks like he deliberately threw into double coverage. When you see the end zone version, he just didn't see.
I don't think he saw the safety.
The defensive back coming over the top.
Right.
He didn't know he was throwing into double coverage. Not that he could have gotten it in any faster, but he sees the tight end break.
Right.
And he's beating the linebacker, but there's
No
the DB
doubt.
that his eyes just never picked up.
Show that clip again if you can back there, Kristen or Matt, just that exact clip of the end zone, because you said it right. This is where he's, and he will learn. We know he knows how to play, and he's smart, and he's doing the proper things, but I think you said it exactly right there. Look where his eyes go. He goes left, right? So, okay, he didn't like what he see. Now he goes back right to look over there and assess, and it's not good, and then comes back to the left. That's kind of a no-no in football 101 world. You don't switch sides of the field after you've been on that side of the field, right? Because you're going to lose people with going, wait, I'm over here, now I'm over here, and now I'm coming back over here. You're not going to keep track of where everybody is in that. You might get away with it from time to time, but this is the type of thing that exactly happens, and he doesn't have the type of left arm like a Mahomes or Josh Allen to where he could just throw an absolute laser in there and do these type of things, and he'll learn that as he continues to kind of push the envelope with these aggressive throws.
And there's a natural element of frustration after you throw an interception. We had at the very end of the TV copy, you see Tua Tagovailoa come in while Myles Gaskin is making the tackle, throws his shoulder into the fray. Brian Flores was asked about that aspect of the play, Tua going and rushing in to make a tackle. Here's what Flores had to say about his quarterback making tackles after throwing interceptions.
I mean, that's what he's got to do. You make a mistake, which he did, you just move on to the next, next play. And in that instance, offensive players become defensive players. I thought Myles made a very nice tackle on that, which kind of set us up in, decent field position defensively, which turned into, a stop and then good field possession for us on the next offensive series.
I agree with the concept. The offensive players become defensive players. You want to get the guy who's got the ball on the ground as quickly as possible. There's a balance, though, just like there is when you run the football. You have to know when to live to fight another day. And when you look at what happened on that specific play, number one, it's a preseason game, so who the hell cares? Don't get yourself injured going to make a tackle. Number two, Myles Gaskin already was bringing the guy down. He did not need Tua Tagovailoa to go clean up with one shot to the pile with his left shoulder, his right shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder. But it was unnecessary. I think there's a point where you gotta reel the guy in and say, hey, look, you get injured making a tackle that somebody else is already making, that does not do us any good. Remember Andy Dalton?
Sure.
Broke his thumb making a tackle after throwing an interception. 2015, Bengals were in position to get a bye week. It all fell apart after that. Watch him come in here. The play's over.
Right.
Here he comes. I'm frustrated. I'm pissed off. He picked it, and boom, I'm going to drop my shoulder.
Right.
Yeah, you gain nothing from that if you're the Miami Dolphins. Nothing.
Yeah, listen, I respect the effort and everything he's doing. Hey, again, this is another one of those cases where the quarterback's trying to take what the coach says and apply it and show like, hey, I'm listening to the coach. Look at me, guys. Look, I'm a football player too. I can go and do those type of things. But you're right. You just got to, like a quarterback who runs too much, you got to learn to go, okay, now's the time to lower my shoulder. It's me and him one-on-one, or he's going down. You got to learn to protect your throwing shoulder and those type of things. I mean, Brian Flores is trying to implement, a culture and a toughness about his team that he knows is needed to win a Super Bowl because he's experienced that in New England. But at the same time, he needs to protect his star quarterback to a degree too, and just make sure he gets in the ear. Hey, I want you to make tackles, but let's be smart about it. I don't need you guys just throwing yourself around, like you're Ronnie Lott or doing something like that. And hopefully he'll get that message through to Tua.
Yeah, that was a point I made when I wrote it up over the weekend. You can't expect your quarterback to become a strong safety every time there's an interception. If anything, you want that guy to be the deep safety, last line of defense. Go try to trip him up if he gets through the other 10 guys. And this isn't some irrational concern. Several years ago, RG3, his first game as a starter with the Browns, at the sideline, drops his shoulder into a Philadelphia defensive back, and he's gone for weeks after that, injured the shoulder. And then the most notorious example of the tough guy shoulder drop at the sideline is Jimmy Garoppolo. Week 3, 2018, tears his ACL. I remember we're sitting there watching it. He dropped his shoulder and he got hurt. And it's like, oh, he hurt his shoulder. Oh, wait, it's not his shoulder. He tore his ACL slamming on the brakes to apply that hit. No, that you have to know instinctively when to stand down, whether you have the ball in your hands or whether someone from the other team does. You can't go throwing your body around. You have greater value to the team than to risk your health doing that. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
That's why I'm surprised by what Florio said. You have to temper that with the fact that he's your quarterback and you made a huge investment in him and you need him on the field.
Yeah, there's no doubt that they gotta get in his ear a little bit to make sure they can coach him up and the proper thing to do in those situations. It's tough. Hey, we see more and more quarterbacks doing this type of stuff too. I mean, I could show you clips of Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, whoever, even Mahomes, where they throw interceptions and they go get in the mix like very aggressively, to where I'm always a little surprised by that. To me, I'm like you. I would want to go like, hey, let's watch Tom Brady. Tom Brady, throws an interception. He does what you're talking about. He's engaged. He follows the play. But he's going to be the last line of defense. He's not going to be the guy that's going to go throw himself into the scrum and go, let me get my shot in on this guy. That to me would be the type of approach you'd want out of the quarterback, at least if you want a healthy one.
Hey, if you have a quarterback who does that too much, it's a fair opportunity for one of those defensive players to rough up the quarterback a little bit. And I know it's all viewed very differently post-Bountygate and with the NFL's sensitivity to health and safety, but let's not be naive here. If a defensive player gets a free shot at a quarterback and he's not going to get penalized for it and it's a clean legal hit and the quarterback is right there to be blocked as he's trying to make a tackle of a defensive back, that defensive player is going to hit that guy as hard as he possibly can.
Yeah, there's no question. If they know it's a quarterback too that yes looks to make those type of tackles and do those type of things, I mean that's like a defensive player's dream, is to be able to hit the quarterback. I mean that really is. I mean it's the dream, and really more times than not, not more times than not, every time. Okay, every football team. The defensive line is taught when an interception is thrown for somebody to go get the quarterback. And now, of course, like you said, there's the rules and it's a little bit more protected, but there's still that guy that goes and finds him and gets in his way and does that and can't wait till the guy gets a little closer to then he can manhandle the quarterback and do those type of things. It's part of playing the position that you got to be careful with. And like you said, it's more important to be healthy than maybe to be, Superman sometimes and make the tackle.
In a weird sort of way, you can see in the demeanor of some defensive players, they're still not quite sure when they're allowed to hit the quarterback. And they pull up sometimes because they're so conditioned to be careful, whether it's at practice with their own quarterback or in the general course of playing. There are certain times you just can't touch the quarterback. And you see that kind of short circuit in their brain when they do get a free and fair shot, and he's no different than any other player on the field. Jalen Hurts, the starter, presumably, it's either him or Joe Flacco in Philadelphia. Against the Steelers, he was 3 for 7 for 54 yards, no touchdowns, no picks in 10 snaps. Limited work. What did you see from the guy that the Eagles, by all appearances, are giving every opportunity to prove that he can be their quarterback well beyond this season?
A good start for Jalen Hurts. That's what I saw. I mean, I see a guy that is continuing to go on the upward trend of throwing the football, better and better within the pocket and making throws. I mean, listen, we know he can do this. And again, when he gets outside the pocket, he does a good job of throwing the appropriate ball that for the guys to catch. But this is what I like. In the pocket, somebody in your face, pretty tight coverage, Dallas Goedert right on the money. That's what we need. That's what I call, that's NFL throwing quarterback play, whatever right there. And that's where he's going to have to make some of his money, is doing that type of stuff. Okay, careful with the ball right there. Then he's at the third down here. Another fine throw and read, dropped by Ertz. So he's 3 for 7. He should have been 4 for 7 for sure. Here they are backed up. Again, gives his guy a chance down the left sideline, misses that, but I like the aggressive nature for what he did there, trying to get Jalen Reagor the ball and let him, take off. But then he answers back here with a throw, again backed up. So this is, again in the pocket and encouraging to see down the middle, tight coverage, right on the money. I think there's a lot of positives to Jalen Hurts. To me, he looked more comfortable, and I do think that his motion throwing the football, not that it's perfect, looks better and a little tighter and more consistent to be a better thrower of the football, hopefully in 2021.
Good point Matt Casey made in my ear, the idea that he has just kind of a calm, nonchalant escapability where it's not frenetic. He can extend the play, just kind of a little bit of gas, not all of it, just a little gas, get away. And I think that's part of that sweet spot of keeping yourself in control, so you're not overly exerting yourself as you pivot away from the defender, and you're still keeping your eyes down the field and seeing when and if that opportunity to find an open receiver comes available.
Yeah, and there's no doubt. He's got a great feel for that. When he does get outside the pocket, he's not going so crazy and running so fast that when he does throw the ball, it comes out with such pace and velocity that the receiver has no chance to catch the football. We know he can do all the athletic things. What was underwhelming last year at the end of the year in some of the games and things like that was there was just too many below average NFL starting quarterback type throws. And that's where, we got to see growth. We got to see more and everything like that. Again, I know the Trey Lances and the Jalen Hurts and the, Justin Fields and Lamar Jacksons of the world are all awesome and got great athletic ability, and it's fun to watch. But I don't know. I watch the Super Bowl every year, and I haven't seen one of those type of guys in the Super Bowl yet. In fact, the greatest runner we've ever seen at the position has yet to be able to actually run the football in a divisional playoff game and do anything substantial that way. The game is still about, can you make throws behind the line of scrimmage to stress defenses out? And that's where we just got to see Jalen Hurts become a little bit more of a machine within the pocket, especially to really take that starting quarterback by the reins.
The Steelers since 2004 have had a quarterback who could extend plays horizontally, not a guy who did a lot of running vertically. And now Dwayne Haskins, a guy that the Steelers got for nothing after he was cut last year by Washington. He is at least showing a glimmer of hope. We talked about this yesterday. I think he'll be the number 2 quarterback on the depth chart at some point this year, if not as of week 1. 16 for 22, 161 yards, and a touchdown. No picks against the Eagles on Thursday night. A lot of reason for optimism that maybe they've found something in a guy who can be groomed for a year or two. I think it'll be a year before they're post-Roethlisberger. What did you think of what you saw on the film from Dwayne Haskins?
Thoroughly impressed. Both games. I mean, I just is a different player. Is a different guy altogether. I think that, the first off, he's got an incredible right arm. That's the first thing, and he's cleaned up his mechanics. Come on. I mean, that's a missile. I don't know what else to say. He made some throws the other night that were jaw-dropping. Again, here, pretty good athleticism. That's Big Ben-ish. It's not like, oh, wow, he's so fast, but he has a good feel to get out of the pocket and make a great throw. Come on, here's another one. Whole shot up the left sideline. I mean, damn, to me, he's been one of the most pleasant surprises of the preseason. Been smart with decision-making. He's cleaned up some of his mechanics throwing the football. And I know one thing's happening. He's getting man training there in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. How to be, like we talked about yesterday, how to be a pro, no excuses, be tougher, move to the next play. And that's where I think it's the perfect spot. And for all indications, I'm with you, Mike. Looks like he could be the heir apparent. He's more talented than Mason Rudolph every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And as long as he understands the offense, I'm with you. I think he's a second, and even if he's the third, it's going to be a short leash for Mason Rudolph if he did get in there where they would put Dwayne Haskins in a hurry. At least that's my assessment right now.
And let me just underscore the point. Mike Tomlin, because Steelers fans, the moment any adversity is encountered in any given season, there is a group that begins to say, fire Tomlin, fire Tomlin. And at one point a couple of years ago, there was a group of the limited partners in ownership of the Steelers that wanted Art Rooney II to fire Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin is so thoroughly respected around the league because other coaches know that he can take a guy who otherwise would be difficult to handle. And right. I don't know that we have enough evidence on Dwayne Haskins to know whether it was him, it was Washington.
We know he was immature
dysfunctional
either way.
Pre-Ron Rivera. He was premature. He was not mature.
Right.
And he had some responsibility for the things that went down, and he would probably admit that. But Tomlin's ability to speak to the better angels of every guy that plays for him, his ability to get that guy to turn away from those traits, those temptations, those, whether it's immature, whatever it may be, and do what Tomlin wants them to do, that is a special quality, and other coaches respect him for it because they've seen what happens when a guy who was with Tomlin and no one knew he was a problem, goes somewhere else, and this guy's a pain in the ass.
Right, they go, this guy's a renegade. What the hell? I didn't know he was like this. And you're like, yeah, well, because the magician, the magic man of people skills, Mike Tomlin, and being a leader and all that, he's great that way. You know, we haven't heard a peep about Dwayne Haskins this year. Nothing. Ever since he's got to Pittsburgh, we haven't heard one thing. Last year, we were hearing late to meetings, late to this. You know, of course, he had the sign-in autographs and shaking a guy's hand when the game was still going on and all that type of stuff. You're not going to see that go down in Pittsburgh. Not with Mike T and the culture that he set there in the Pittsburgh organization. But I'm happy to see, Dwayne Haskins. We can't forget, he was really young. He was the youngest guy to come out in the draft 2 years ago. I believe he was 20 when he got drafted. He only played 1 year in college football. He has the talent to be a legit NFL starting quarterback. Somebody just got to show him the way and have a little patience here and make him into a man and a pro. And I have no doubt that this kid can make it happen.
And what a gift it would be for the Steelers and their fans because they went 20 years between Terry Bradshaw and Ben Roethlisberger not seeking a franchise quarterback in the upper part of the draft. They never or rarely were in position to do it, and they passed on Dan Marino in what was Terry Bradshaw's last year. But it was a long 20 years between Bradshaw and Roethlisberger, and it may be that they have stumbled over a guy who can be the starter, can do a good job, can run the offense, can be what they need, and they got him for absolutely nothing after he was cut last year by the Washington football team. Let's go ahead.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.